welcome to the first in the new series of heavy metal orientated guitar lessons that I'm going to be putting together for my YouTube channel. I spend a lot of my time, my working time, teaching, and in particular I teach quite a lot of metal players and rock players and guys in that kind of area, because it's what I specialise in. It's what I've been studying for really over half my life now. So I thought in this series I'd try and just go on to subjects to do with this area of music, and try and just focus in on things that maybe people know about, maybe they'd like some more clarification on, and things that I feel are maybe not as clearly taught as they could be in some areas. So the first of these lessons I've decided to focus in on the heavy metal gallop rhythm. So metal is really a rhythmic genre. It's all about rhythm. People focus in a lot on the shredding and the screaming and stuff like that, but at its core, metal is a very, very rhythmic genre. So the harmony is normally quite basic in traditional metal, not so much in some of the more progressive genres and all of this, but if you think of the core of metal, the traditional metal stuff, the harmony is very basic. It's mainly pentatonic based, all the chords are power chords, just a root and a fifth. There's not that much going on there that's making it different from more mainstream music. The thing that really changes it a lot is the rhythms. The rhythms are a lot more intricate, and there's a lot of different time changes and feel changes and things like that that you wouldn't normally find in a pop song or even a blues song or a rock song. And that's really one of the defining things that makes metal a genre. Because of this, good metal players tend to always be really good rhythm players. They can play very intricate, complex rhythms from memory, and they can lock in with other members of the band to do them in an incredibly tight way. This is especially important because of the amount of distortion that they're using normally. You've got to be absolutely accurate, otherwise it's going to sound sludgy. The interesting thing about this is a lot of times metal players aren't actually that sure what they're doing, even though they know intuitively what it sounds like. In traditional music terms, they can't necessarily always explain it. And the metal gallop rhythm is one of the prime examples of this. It's a prime example of everyone knows what it is, but a lot of metal players are a little confused when it comes to actually explaining it or writing it down. So before we start, I'm just quickly going to play you an example. This is, if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is the gallop rhythm, right? It sounds like this. Okay, so it's got that classic kind of William Tell overture, kind of horse gallop kind of thing, hence the galloping name. And it was really brought to the forefront by Iron Maiden, this classic Iron Maiden. Basically all of their songs, or that's harsh, not all their songs, but a big part of their discography is songs using this rhythm at some point, actually with that chord progression quite frequently as well, although we won't go into that. The rhythm is obviously it's a signature part of their style, but it's been picked up and used by many, many metal players and bands, and it's really a staple part of the genre now. The thing about this is people normally know what that is and call it a gallop, but they don't truly understand it. So let's just look at what we've got here. The most common misunderstanding with the gallop is to call it a triplet. I see this a lot, and it's not just with amateurs or students or people who are still learning. A lot of professional guys, a lot of really, really great metal players also call this a triplet, and it's not a triplet, right? A triplet is defined as 3 evenly spaced notes, right? So in the case of an eighth note triplet, which is what they're thinking about, I think, it would be 3 evenly spaced notes to the beat. So I'm going to use a metronome to demonstrate what that sounds like. So I've set the metronome to our learn speed of 104, and a triplet at 104 would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, so that's clearly not. Let's turn that off because that's really loud. That's clearly not what we're talking about here. Okay, so what we're actually talking about is a combination of 2 other rhythm types. So I'm going to quickly explain those for those who aren't clear about this. The 2 rhythms that you need to understand to have this are 8th notes and 16th notes. And just quickly, because I do teach quite a lot of GCSE students and students who've had more classical training, in metal music we tend to use theoretical terms taken from the American theory, the American jazz theory, where rhythms, quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, half notes, that terminology, as opposed to the European classical tradition, where you have crotchets, quavers, semi-quavers, semi-grieves, all of that, minims. They're the same thing. So if you're confused about that, hopefully what you can see written on the screen is going to clarify it for you, but I'm going to be using American jazz terminology, which is standardized in metal music. Okay, so the two rhythms that you require to understand are eighth notes, which is which would be a quaver, which sounds like two equally spaced notes to the beat. So if I play the metronome one more time, 104, sorry. Here's an eighth note. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? The second one is a 16th note, or a semi-quaver. That would be 4 notes per beat. That sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you would traditionally count that like this. 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and the 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and the... So, the gallop rhythm is really a combination of these two rhythms. It's 1/8 note followed by 2 16th notes. So 1/8 note plus 2 16th notes would sound like this. 2, 3, 4. Okay. So that's dissected, that's what we're talking about. That's the gallop rhythm, okay? And you're picking that by playing a down, and then a down, and then an up. So 2 downs and an up, like this. Down, down, up, 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 down. And in order to execute it correctly, I'd strongly suggest that you place an accent on the first down of each repetition. An accent is when you pick the string slightly harder. So it won't be that audible, especially because I'm at home, I'm just playing through a little practice app, so it's not going to be that audible. I'll try and over-exaggerate it so you can really hear it if I play on a high note. So if I go... I hope you can hear that accent, and I'm placing it with a foot tap to reinforce there's the beat. Okay, that's what I'm playing. There. Ba 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 ba. Okay? So that's the essence of the gallop rhythm. The second rhythm that we're going to look at is the reverse or inverted gallop. So this was something that came along slightly later and is more common in thrash metal bands. So if the gallop, a typical song I could give you an example of it would be Iron Maiden's Run to the Hills. That's a really good example of the gallop, right? The reverse or the inverted gallop, an example of that would be Raining Blood by Slayer, the first riff that kicks in after the intro. That's just a classic reverse gallop. So it's called a reverse because you're just literally swapping around. So now you're playing 2 16s and then an 8th. So you might think, this is picky, what difference is it going to make? But you should clearly be able to hear the difference when I play it to the click. So first I'm going to play the gallop, the Iron Maiden sound, and the second time I'm going to play the reverse gallop, the Slayer sound, and you'll be able to hear the difference. Here it comes. So gallop, 2, 3, 4. And now reverse gallop, which is 2 16ths and then an 8th note. 3, 4. There you go. Okay, so you can hear that without the click, it might not be that different because once it gets going, it's just 3 notes together. But with the click, or hopefully you're imagining the drum beat where the click is, you can hear that it completely changes the sound. So when you're performing this, you want to do the same thing as you were doing for the gallop. When you perform the gallop, you play an accented downstroke, followed by another downstroke and an up. When you play the reverse gallop, or the inverted gallop, you play the accented down, followed immediately by an up, and then another down. So if I play the reverse gallop with an accent, you should be able to hear it like this. 3, 4. Again, I'm doing my best to accent that. I hope that comes out on the camera, but hopefully you get the idea of it. And again, you want to reinforce this with a foot tap. So when you're playing, you want to be constantly feeling that rhythm. There it is. Okay, so whereas Iron Maiden tend to keep the tempo quite low, especially on their earlier recordings, the thrash guys were playing this super fast. So right now that rhythm that's a good learn speed. That's a good speed to get it together on. But the motion becomes a lot quicker, so I'm going to bang the click up to about 160. And again, they will go a lot faster than this, but this will sound quite familiar for thrash fans. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So once it gets up to that speed, you really need to have done a little bit of work to make sure that you're going to be completely tight. One thing I'm doing is I'm palm muting slightly, and the main thing is that I'm making sure the motion comes from my wrist. So the motion is coming from a turn of the wrist. Note that it's not up and down, it's a twist of the wrist. I'll do more lessons specifically talking about the picking technique at a later date. But for now, that's the main thing to make sure that you're doing it from your wrist. None of this, none of your elbow. Even though some of the thrash guys, you've all seen them doing their elbow, just take it from me as somebody who spent a long time studying this. I feel like I can have an opinion on this, and my opinion is that you should be using your wrist for this kind of stuff. The elbow technique is effective, but you will eventually reach boundaries and limitations that you can't push past. I also think it's slightly less accurate when you push it up to full speed. That's my opinion. You can completely disregard this and go, well, my favourite player does this. That's totally up to you. But if you want to follow my method and my style, I would strongly recommend focusing on the wrist technique as the way to go with this. Okay, there's one final development in the kind of the world of gallop rhythms in metal. Once the thrash guys had sped it up and inverted it, some more guys came along, and really in various different subgenres, the power metal genre and the thrash genre later on, and death metal in particular, and they started to combine the inverted gallop and the regular gallop together to make more complicated rhythms. They would also use eighth notes as a way of bridging between the two. So I'm going to play you an example of a rhythm that's like that, so you can get the idea of it. I'll put the click down slow again. So there it is at 104, and here's the rhythm that I'm going to use as an example, played slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a more complex rhythm, but it's built from the idea of playing the gallop and the inverted gallop together and kind of filling the gaps with eighth notes. So the best way to understand a rhythm like that is to break it down into a 1-beat portion. So that was a 4-beat rhythm, and we're going to understand it a beat at the time. So the first one is a regular gallop. There. Yeah. Then the second one is 2 eighth notes. So the first 2 beats are a gallop, and then 2 eighth notes. So that sounds like this. Yeah. And then I played 2 inverted gallops. So I played. So that's 4 beats in total. So like that. And hopefully you can understand how I'm connecting these rhythms together to create something a bit longer and a bit more intricate. So once these guys have got a rhythm like that going, they'll slam the tempo way up and play it super fast. So again, I'll push myself back up to 160 so that it's still comprehensible to you. But again, these guys will go up to 200 BPM. They'll go faster. They'll go mega fast. As a demonstration, 1, 2, 3, 4. Final thing to talk about with that is that I'm just sitting on one note while I'm playing these rhythms, but a lot of riffs that use that kind of rhythm type will often use one note as a pedal but pick out accents for the riff as well. So I'm going to play just a generic kind of thrash power metal type riff using these rhythms as an example of something that you can work on. So this riff will go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. combining those rhythms, placing an accent so you've got a kind of riff that's kind of more interesting melodically as well. And I also played a different rhythm on the fourth bar that's still just a combination of gallops, inverted gallops and eighth notes, just to add some interest and to kind of give it a bit of a turnaround. So if you're into that kind of stuff, there's a massive amount of different genres which I would advise checking out. But one of them that I'd definitely check out if you don't know already is John Schaefer, who's the rhythm guitar player in a band called Iced Earth, who I would genuinely rate as one of the greatest metal rhythm players and writers of all time. He doesn't get that much attention, actually. It's rare that I hear people talking about him, but just check out some of his stuff. He is absolutely burning, and his rhythm is so tight, and the records sound great. Any of the last probably 5 or 6 Iced Earth records, the whole lot are great, but the newer ones with that crisp production, you can really hear just how intricate and accurate his picking hand is. I totally recommend checking out him for more stuff like that. Cool, okay, so that's it for this lesson on gallops and inverted gallops. I hope that you found it useful and informative, and maybe it's cleared some stuff up for you and given you some stuff to practice. If you've got any questions at all, please leave it in the comments of the video, or follow me on my Facebook page, which is /DougCartwright Guitar, and you can ask me questions on there. I'm happy to answer them. And if you've got any suggestions or ideas for other lessons that you'd like to see me do for YouTube, then please, again, let me know in the comments, because I'm absolutely up for doing anything to do with rock and metal guitar and helping you guys out with it more. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. And final plug, I've got a band called Beneath Dead Waves, and you should totally check us out if you like this kind of stuff, because we're doing it all over all of our tunes. We've got a debut album called Inertia out, and you can follow us at facebook.com/Beneath Dead Waves. Okay, until next time, cheers.